Hey guys, I'm doing just great. Thank you very much for asking. I'm in jail in Shenzhen. I'm in a hotel in Shenzhen. It's a beautiful room. It's big, but I'm trapped. I'm not allowed to leave, and I see people walking outside. I see these cute dogs that I really want to pet, but I cannot go out of my room. I can't even go onto the hallway. I finally just got coffee today, so it's technically the 5th day that I'm here because I arrived during the night. So if we count that, it's my 5th day of quarantining, but I have like 10 days to go. I actually started quarantining before all of you guys in China, so I do feel like this video is something that I am able to talk about for you guys. A quick intro for those of you guys who are new to my channel. I'm an Icelandic Chinese artist and I make weekly videos hoping to inspire you guys to be more yourself, more unique, more creative. I promised that I will be making weekly videos, as I just mentioned. So even though I'm actually not in the best place emotionally, I'm kind of like fluctuating a lot, I figured I should stick to my promise. So that's what I'm gonna do. Today's topic is basically 5 tips to survive quarantine. It's so relevant for me right now, and I feel a little bit crazy. I'm sure the people that are walking by are gonna be like, oh my gosh, like
she's literally talking to herself.
If you are somebody who is about to quarantine, or you're in quarantine and you want advice that is actually gonna help you through it, this video is gonna focus very much on that, like the internal mechanisms that might be happening when you're in this kind of situation. I've been taken by surprise at the fact that like my past traumas have been kind of reappearing again because I've put so much work into myself, but that's just like a reminder that we always have to continue working on ourselves and constantly just observing yourself, you know, and there are going to be challenges that you will be going through even though you might think that you've already passed it. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of a story of just like what I was going through, and the first 2 days were just crazy. I'm actually feeling much better today, and yesterday was fine, but it's still like an up and down spiral. So if you're going through something like this, or you're about to, just like know you're not alone, it's perfectly normal. I think that it's important to just have the tools, and I'm sorry I went on a tangent, but let's get to it then. And the first one is to have a schedule, and I think this kind of goes under the bracket of discipline as well. Be disciplined with having a schedule, and maybe in the beginning it's going to be really hard to do that. It's going to be hard to kind of figure out what you want to do. What is a schedule? Like if you don't have any deadlines or whatever, like you might just be like, okay, I don't need to wake up, I'm just going to keep sleeping. And the first day, that's kind of what happened to me. Like I took a nap and then I woke up feeling just like extra crappy because I just felt really bad about myself. And I remember when I was quarantining in China, I had a schedule. Like I wake up and I meditate, I stretch, I was disciplined to do those things. And when you stretch, you're opening up your body, especially because when you're in a tight space like this, your body is not getting the movement that it needs. Like yesterday I did 6,000 steps, and I'm going to continue doing that every day. It's just like a promise that I made to myself. But yeah, so have a schedule, wake up. I mean, I don't wake up like a normal person. I literally on a normal day, I usually wake up around 11 or 12. Like I just sleep a lot. Yeah. So for me, that's my schedule, but I'm maintaining that in quarantine. So I wake up at 11 and I do stretches, I meditate, I started journaling. So there's something that you should be incorporating new things into your schedule when you're quarantining, because it's very mentally straining. Like the first thing that you do when you wake up is journal. You know, just write down everything. Maybe you had a dream, maybe you remember the dream, you know, write everything down. Just write a poem. Just like, don't judge yourself. Whatever words come in mind, just be really open, get it out. And this way you're releasing a lot of that tension that maybe you were like locking up inside of you. Anyway, that's my first. So be disciplined and have a schedule is like key. Prioritize your health, and I kind of touched upon that in the first point. You know, physical health, mental health, and like I consider myself somebody that has done a lot of work on my mental health, but still it creeps up from time to time. So don't think that you're perfect. There's not a single person that's perfect. But I think if you understand, you go into it and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to maintain sanity and physical health throughout the whole situation. If you're in a hotel quarantining, they're gonna bring you food. Don't overeat. Don't eat all of the food. Just like listen to your body. Eat, you know, the right amount, what you would do if you weren't quarantining. And like I've been taking walks in my room, which I know is crazy, but actually I do recommend it. Just imagine me walking around in the room, like, yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit out there, but just like make sure you're getting enough exercise. If you're super disciplined, exercise in the morning, maybe do 3 times in the morning, and then in the middle of the day, and then, you know, at night, do like 10 minutes, you know, if you want to be chill, like 15 minutes. It could be just stretching. Let's consider that exercising. Exercise is really important for your physical health and for your mental health. And then all the meditation, all stuff that I mentioned earlier, and journaling, I think that's really important as well. Try to watch your thoughts, and don't be judgmental, and just be good to yourself. The third tip and advice is to express and create. These are the moments when you should be creating and expressing yourself through some sort of medium. So that's why journaling is really great. I started actually writing poetry instead of journaling because it's just much more interesting to me, because this way I can tap even more into my subconscious, because I'm just writing out the words. They don't have to mean anything, and I'm really not judging myself at that point. Because if you're still forming sentences, I feel like you're kind of creating meaning that maybe in that moment you weren't even attaching meaning to anything when you first wake up. Take a big portion or a portion of your day to just express yourself in some medium. And if you're able to prepare yourself before quarantine, bring some papers, bring some art materials, bring whatever. I've been making a lot of artwork. I'll show you guys here right now. So I'm actually gonna go through all the pages. I started these before my quarantine, but I bought this moleskin specifically for my quarantine. I'll tell you guys when I started. Still working on this. I actually started this today, but my quarantine officially started here, and I've been making at least 1 page every single day. That's a really good way to kind of express yourself and see or measure your emotions. You know, if you're not able to clear your mind and understand how you're feeling, I do find that expressing yourself through any sort of medium just really helps. I love this one. So these are all from quarantine, from the past 4 days basically. And of course I've been doing some work as well, but these are just like the ones that I'm just doing for myself. I was having a pretty rough day, as you can tell. And I actually started also writing my poetry inside here on this side. Fourth tip is to be social. Call up your friends, call up your family. I used to be somebody who would never ask for help. I used to never reach out to people when I needed help. It's just something that I wasn't used to doing for many reasons, you know, from childhood or whatever. But I feel like over the years I've realized how important that was. You can't spend your life feeling alone, and I felt so alone most of my life, and I realized like I don't want to live like this, you know. I want to feel happy, and one of the key ingredients to that is to embrace people in your life and socialize, and start to prioritize social interactions and building relationships and a stronger like foundation for that. And I had to relearn these things because I guess I got hurt many times, so I had to kind of reopen up that wound and kind of figure out like, okay, you know what, this is definitely something I want to work on because it makes me happier in the long term. So the fifth and final advice to survive quarantine is to be kind and loving towards yourself. It doesn't matter what your natural response is and how you handle quarantine. For anyone, this is going to be useful. So if you're somebody who tends to avoid your emotions, or you're somebody who tends to feel overly anxious in situations like this, or maybe you block your emotions like the former one that I was explaining, but so it doesn't really matter like how your natural, how your demons manifest. A way to handle your feelings and a way to handle the situation is definitely through love and through kindness, because you're spending so much time with yourself. You cannot be that distracted. You know, at some point you're really going to be living with yourself, with your mind, to have this narrative that's going on, kind of like this higher octave of your own voice inside your head that is purposeful, like, you know, it's okay to feel this way, and you're not alone, and or whatever that your inclinations are, or your narrative inside your head is, to kind of be that gentle voice as well, like have a second narrative to kind of soothe to self-soothe, to be like, okay, it's okay to feel these things. You're fine, you're cared for, you're loved. So those are my tips. I don't think I really mentioned it as much in the beginning about projects. I think it's just good to go into quarantine having stuff to do. So if you have work, if you have projects, if you don't have projects, go into it thinking, like creating projects. So for me, doing these YouTube videos is an example. I also have some work, some collaborations that I'm working on. I actually think it's good to take a little bit of time because all you have is time when you're here, you know, when you're quarantining. So take a little bit of time just for yourself, and I promise you it's gonna be worth it in the long haul, because I already have a feeling once the quarantine is over, I'm gonna have made a lot of growth that I wouldn't have made if I was just denying my emotions the entire time. It's really just too much time that you're gonna be spending with yourself. Anyway, this is only day 4, and this is the most rigorous quarantine I've experienced so far because I literally cannot leave the room. I'm really curious, like, for those of you guys who have experienced quarantine, how you handled it, and if you were resorting to some of these like meditational methods or being more mindful throughout the day, if that was what worked for you, or if you didn't, like, how did you handle it? Like, what was going on in your mind? I'm just genuinely curious, so feel free to like leave your own experiences in the comments below. I'll see you guys next week. Love you per always. Mwah!